Hey, beautiful people, we out here. Yeah. Peace and love to all the beautiful people. Shout out to everybody who's going to be watching this broadcast. We have a very special broadcast for you today, family.
That's right.
That's right. Before we even get started, I got to introduce the lovely family who is currently in the building. We have the one and only, the beautiful, the lovely, the also elegant wife currently here in the building, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace. Shout out to my amazing husband. Thank you for that introduction. Peace and light to everybody in the building. We have a fantastic show for you today, and can't wait to introduce our guest. But before we do that, we also have a wonderful young lady in the building who is very artsy, very hilarious at times. She is our very own exceptional, wonderful, beautiful Miss Ayla.
That's artist. Right. Currently in the building.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm Ayla or something.
Yeah, family. So today we going in a direction that we haven't really touched on yet, but we're all into what we're about to talk about. We definitely are grateful for all of our subscribers and supporters who constantly support us. We are grateful to you. We got the one and only, the lovely Miss Auntie Wendy in the building today, family.
Shout out to Auntie Wendy. All right.
That's right.
Two in the building.
Hello, my beautiful family. Love, peace, and blessings. Yeah. Thank you, Auntie Wendy. We love you and we appreciate you. And we're going to have you on because you've been in Rwanda for 2 years, I believe.
Ooh, yes.
And we got to hear how everything's going.
That's right. That's a long stretch right there.
Yeah. And shout out to Anthony Peace King checking in from Memphis. Shout out to Tennessee. Yeah, and shout out. I got to say this, family, because I was up all night. Let me turn this off real quick, family. Yeah, I was up all night. Now the game, the Super Bowl didn't start until like 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m. this morning. So I've been up all night, and I'm terribly disappointed. But shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles because they did do a good job.
You did good. No,
they got robbed by the refs, and I'm standing by that. And that's what it is. They got robbed, family. They got robbed.
Shout out to the Dirty Birds. They did their thing, though. They made it to the Super Bowl. A lot of teams couldn't do that, so we made it to the Super Bowl. But hey, there's always a next time.
That's right. They got robbed. But no, shout out to KC. They played. They played.
Wow.
And, the quarterback, everybody did a good job. And it was a good game. It went down to the end. My heart was thumping, and I was lit down. But it's all good, you know. Because if they did win, Philly would have been on a whole other level. It would have been a catastrophe right now, family. If they did, they was like tipping cars over before the game started. Yeah. So but anyway, Anyway, family. So today we have a very special guest.
All right.
Today, my wife is going to introduce our special guest.
Yes, excited. Our brother here. So we have with us a wonderful, very extremely intelligent brother here. He studied at the Institute of Bioacoustics and Biology in Ohio. He was an instructor at Temple University for Cashapp, which is the Pan-African Studies Community Education Program, teaching a course on self-discovery for over a decade. He's been writing books for over 20 years. He was also a co-host with world-renowned astrologer Richard Whiten on WURD 900 AM called Astrologically Speaking. I like that, Astrologically Speaking. Richard Whiten was one of his mentors who taught him how to read God's heavenly planetary system. We have the one and only, the amazing, the incomparable, the super intelligent Mr. Shemayah Bey in the building.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Shemayah Bey in the building.
Peace to the family, peace to your audience. I'm looking forward to this meeting.
Yes.
Peace, brother, man. It's so good to have you on here.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It's a pleasure.
That's right. Yeah, so Shemayah, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, just like your lovely wife just read off my part of my bio. My wife and myself, Rhonda Klein Bey, We were instructors at the Pan-African Studies program at Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the United States. And we taught a program called Self-Discovery, getting in tune with yourself, using the spiritual knowledge and laws to your advantage and to help you out. Also, I had the opportunity to be instructed and taught, as well as be a co-host with Richard Whiten. He's in the world of spirits right now, but he taught me the science of astrology, which I'm very thankful for. And also, I'm an author. I've been writing books for over 20 years now. So I'm really looking forward to that, talking about that as well. And I'm looking forward to this interview.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome,
Definitely.
awesome.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, tell what is your profession? What are you doing right now? Your profession?
Yeah, I'm a storyteller and an author.
All right. Right. Awesome. Yeah. So, what got you interested in the supernatural studies?
I had different encounters growing up, and I also had an encounter with a UFO, and that was back in '98. And as a result of that, I was already inclined with the unseen world, but when I had that particular phenomena, a cousin of mine and I experienced that really kind of opened up the door to things.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Can you tell us about your encounter with the UFO?
Yeah, it was I think it was August of '98. Cousin of mine were coming to visit my mother, and we got out the car. It was like a suburban neighborhood in Jersey, not too far outside of McGuire Air Force Base in Fort Dix. And it was a really nice, comfortable night, dark. My cousin said, we were looking at the stars. He was looking at the sky. He said that there's the stars moving. I said, well, stars don't move. He said, well, this one moves. I said, okay. He said, look, and then sure as I'm talking to you all, it blinked in the sky and it moved to still at the height of the sky. Stars. It moved to the center of where we were in the neighborhood, and so I was being funny. I'm a Sagittarius, so I like to joke around a lot. I said, well, if you can hear us, come to the center of the street. Wow. As the Most High is my witness. It's at the height, still at the height of the stars. It started floating to the middle of the street, and my cousin was like, I think we need to get on the sidewalk. I said, like, that's gonna make a difference. And then next thing you know, yeah. So next thing you know, so I said, next thing you know, it got to maybe a 5 or 10 story building. It could have been higher, but from just a ratio of distance. And as a result of that, we both shielded our eyes. We shielded our eyes, and it was like, you ever see a 4th of July sparkler? So it was really bright. We both did like this, and then after the light dissipated, it was like it was like triangular shape, like clear glass, and it had like 6 lights on the bottom. They were yellow, and we couldn't see what was in it, but consciously, whatever was inside of it, piloting it. Once they realized that we had a really good image of it, it didn't make any sound. The sky, like if you imagine a dark sky opening up, the dark sky parted like this. The craft went inside, and then the night sky closed on it like this, and then it just dissipated. Yeah. So my cousin's like, well, we gonna have to tell people about this. I was like, no, we don't. So as a result of that, the following day, that morning, we were both working at this carpentering place where we did hardwood flooring. And my cousin, he couldn't hold it. He's like, yo, we seen a UFO last night. They was like, yeah, for real. So what they did, they put us in different rooms, and they said, well, draw what you saw. But we were in separate rooms, and me and him both drew the same thing that we witnessed a few hours earlier. You may have that. Yeah, exactly. So at the bottom right of your screen, that's like the height of the stars. The one at the bottom of your screen, the drawing, it was like a 4th of July sparkler where we did like that. And then it was above the house across the street from where my parents lived. It opened up, and that's where we saw the craft like that. And like I said, once it was like a neon blue haze around the outside of the craft. It could have been metal, but it looked like glass, like a thick piece of glass or whatever. And after that, like I said, once it realized that we had a good look at it, the sky opened up. It floated inside the sky, and the sky closed upon itself or collapsed upon itself.
Whoa. Wow,
man.
Yeah. So that really put me on the path. Like, oh yeah, we're not the only one here. Or there's advanced technology that we're not really necessarily aware of.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
That's crazy, man.
Were you scared or nervous?
No, because no, actually, I was kind of really fascinated. You know, I'm not trying to go nowhere or anything, but
Yeah.
but at the time, the moment, like my cousin said, well, I think we need to get on the sidewalk. At that point, it was like, then it was nothing we could do anyway if they really wanted to get us. But I think at that particular time, whatever was piloting it, it just really wanted us to have a really good mental image of this life-altering encounter. The reason I said life-altering because you know, we go to work, take care of kids and things of that nature. But then when you have an encounter like that, then you know that obviously there's more than just this physical realm of reality.
Wow.
Have you experienced like anything like after that, like, you know, with any other supernatural things?
Yeah, I've had a lot of different supernatural encounters. My wife and I, we were fortunate enough to be taught and trained and be mentors and friends with an individual by the name of Dr. Clifford E. Hazel. He was out of Baltimore, Maryland, and he was the bishop in addition to other things. He taught us the science of exorcism, so we had the opportunity to encounter strange phenomena. For example, an associate of ours from Philadelphia, he had a really bad drug problem, and as a result of that monster being on him, that unseen beast being on him, Vonda reached out to Dr. Hazel and said, "We have a friend. He really needs some assistance." And this particular friend was part of the Yoruba tradition. So when we got to Dr. Hazel's home in Baltimore, Maryland, he greeted us and he told the individual, he showed him some items from the E5, things of that nature, just to kind of loosen things up, to get him a little bit more relaxed. But what was really interesting about this particular phenomenon, Dr. Hazel had the individual take off his shoes, and he had a bucket of chestnuts, like the nuts that you eat, and they were into like a bucket. And he asked the individual to put his left foot and right foot in the bucket. And particular phenomena we saw, it was like behind him, he was sitting in a chair like I'm sitting here with the poster behind me, but on the wall, the way Dr. Hazel's house was, there were steps that go up into the second level. And as I'm talking to you, when the individual put his feet in the bucket, next thing you know, all these like jelly-like vines that you actually could see started going up the steps, twisting and turning. And, yeah, exactly. It was very extremely visible. And I was looking like, do I see this? And then I saw my wife, and she was looking like, had the same look, and the other individual was looking like, wow. So we all seen the same thing. And then next thing you know, it was like if you could see my hands were like this. It was like the size of a raccoon, and but it's like jelly, it's like clear like jelly. And next thing you know, it was at the bottom of the step, it just shot up. And then once it shot up the steps and it disappeared, then everything in the house like illuminated, and then everything was peaceful and calm. And then Dr. Hazel said, "You'll be all right, son. Everything, the thing is off of you now. You'll be good." And he put his socks and shoes on. We were talking regular. I think we went out to eat or something after that. So that's like one of many different phenomena we've experienced.
Man,
wow,
that's something, because like in movies, when you see like people like exercising like demons, like the Exorcist movies like that, like they used to praying with the Bible and stuff like that. But you say he did it in that kind of way. That's interesting.
Wow. Yeah, see, he was trained by other esoteric masters in England, in South Africa, in India, and different places, even in the Americas. So he had the opportunity to meet other individuals that had this knowledge passed on from my ancestors from thousands of years, and also in Lebanon as well. I don't want to leave that part out as well when it comes to the angelic realm, that particular knowledge. So he was blessed and fortunate but he had his own gifts that he was incarnated with. And as a result, on his journey, he was able to link up or reestablish connections with other individuals that had the knowledge from our ancient foreparents.
Man, that's deep.
Wow.
So like where was he from? Like what country was he from?
He's from the States. He originally was born in Beaufort, South Carolina. And according okay, Gullah Geechee, right? So as a result of that, he was young. From the stories that he shared with us, he said that he would be able to, the spirits would come talk to him, like the spirit of the dead, they would die. And there was when he was born in 1933, so if he was around 5, so that's 1938. He said that there was a shipment where the black family, you know, obviously at that time things were extremely segregated, and down south anyway. They were all on the shipping because they lived on the coast. And he said that the ship had toppled over, and all the people had died on the particular fishing boat. But at that time, no one knew, and he was at the dinner table with his family, and he said that they're not coming home, and he said at that time they were spooked, like, what are you talking about? They're not coming home. And so he said he went to the closet, and he said he opened up, for whatever reason, he got up and went to the closet in his home down in South Carolina and opened up the door. And I forgot the guy's name, but the individual, he walked out the door and said, we're not coming back. We were lost at sea. So he came back in the kitchen and told his family members and aunts and uncles around the house that they're not coming home. And you're like, what are you talking about? And next thing you know, later on, there was like at that time was like one telephone in the neighborhood, and the person ran down to the house that the people were lost and they're not coming home. They died. And so he said that's one of his early memories. He had earlier memories, but that's the one I'm sharing with the audience now, as far as his connection to the spirit world and how the spirits will come and talk to him. And as a result of that, the people in that area of South Carolina, they were very nervous of him being around, because every time he come around, they're like, oh, something about to happen or whatever. So he said as a result of that, that's how he ended up in Baltimore, Maryland, when his mother decided to send him to live with his grandmother up in Baltimore. So they left South Carolina. Well, he left South Carolina to come to Baltimore.
Man, you really hear stuff about people like that. That reminds me of that movie Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With that little boy, it was like the little boy, he was talking to like ghosts and stuff.
Yeah. Say that one more time, please. Pardon me.
I said it reminds me of that movie, The Sixth Sense.
Oh yeah, I see dead people. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He definitely had the phenomenon. I think what I incarnated in this lifetime to also to explore and to experience and share different unseen phenomena and to work in this esoteric, this unseen realm. My mother, my father, he was a Methodist, but my mother was a Messianic Jew, and so I was raised in that particular culture, keeping the Sabbath, the Passover, Feast of Tabernacles, etc. And when we were reading the Bible, the Torah, the Tanakh, there would be certain words in the King James version that I was not familiar with. So my mother, what she would do, she said that what you need to do is get this. I have it now. She's in the spirit plane, but her concordance, she said, well, if there's a word that you don't know in the Bible, why don't you just go here? It's like a dictionary, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek dictionary. Old Testament was written in Hebrew or Aramaic. She said, go look up the word and see what the real definition was. And that really put me on a path, even when it comes to astrology, for the most part, when it comes to religion, that's something that's downplayed, is either the devil or satanic. But come to find out, that's God's way for humanity to read the signs. And in the Genesis, that really kind of put me on the path to Genesis 1:14, where it says that, paraphrasing, but it was like he separated the day from the night, and he had used the stars or the luminaries for signs, SIGNS signs. But I said I looked up the word in the Strong's Bible Concordance, and that word signs is oath, OTH, and oath means a miracle. It means an omen. So I was like to my mother, I said, what do you mean? Like he's saying, use the stars or the luminaries for signs, for miracles or omens. So that made me feel better. I was like, I didn't care. After that, I was good. It said God said use the luminaries. And luminaries are the planetary bodies for signs, for miracles. So people that have been living thousands of years before we came back here have documented the course of how the stars and the planets affect humanity on Earth. In our modern time, we use astrology for individual, like what's your birthday, your Sag, or your Leo, Aquarius, etc. But at that time, and hundreds and or even thousands of years ago, it was only regulated for the king or queen of a particular nation, as well as for the nation as a whole. But now, in our modern times, we use them as individuals. Good party conversation. But but obviously, it's much wider than people that have the foundation for the study of cycles down in I think it's New Mexico, where they use the cycles of time to determine when the stock market will go up and go down, or how to do weather derivatives when the planets are making certain aspects or angles to one another to tell when weather is on a particular way. Even when you watch weather now, you don't have to believe in astrology at all, but you're determined by the planetary positions, how the area that you live in, the region you're going to live in, is going to be affected by a particular climate. outside of humanity or evil individuals manipulating those particular energies to cause earthquakes or hurricanes or floods. That's a whole nother thing, but they use particular cycles of time to dictate when the weather is going to be. That's just on a I wouldn't say mundane, but that's something that we're all under these particular conditions, and using astrology for that, just for weather forecasting.
Okay. Just to hear things like that, people were doing things with the weather, so there's some truth to that. You're saying?
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely some truth to that, and also too, just taking from even the Christian Bible or the Torah, where they talk about the gods. The Elohim is means it's plural. It means gods and goddesses, or the powerful ones. So, if we're just speaking, because I know you have different people from religious backgrounds that watch a particular program, but just taking from the King James, because that's where in the States, that's kind of where my foundation was rooted in. But like I said, I wanted to find out more. So when you see the word God in the Bible, there are different meanings. God could be El, which means they say it means Almighty, but El also was the god of the Canaanites. So that, and then you have the Lord. But he said the Lord is also known for Jehovah or Jehovah, but he was only one of many different Elohim. Then you have in the book of Deuteronomy in chapter 32 talks about the Most High. That's Elyon. So Elyon had gave, according to the Old Testament, had gave Jehovah the people of Israel to reign over. So then I was like to my mother, I said, well, if Jehovah he's only the God of Israel, then they've been saying that there are other nations, other gods over other nations. She really didn't want to touch that too much, because then it starts messing with your foundation of how most of our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents were trained in a particular way of thinking. But that didn't stop me. It kind of led me on the path to keep searching more. But to go back to what I was saying, that there, even in the over being on a continent, obviously you know that there are netters. You know, you have your Loa. You know, you have your other Orisha, the other spiritual deities or entities that are not in the physical form, but they still nevertheless exist.
Wow,
that's interesting. So going back to like the UFOs, like I see recently in the news, like I think it was F-15 jets, they shot down UFO in Michigan. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it said UFOs, unidentified flying objects. What do you think about that situation?
I definitely think that may be there's a lot more to it. I put it that way. In Palestine, I'm going to address that question. They're definitely doing something to keep our attention off of something bigger, in my opinion. For instance, in states in the farmland of called Palestine, Ohio, there was a train that was derailed, and it had I forgot the particular chemical, but vinyl chloride, and it's rumored to be not rumored, but it's a deadly carcinogen. Right now, they're having a mass die-off of farm animals within a 100-mile radius of this burn-off. And I think that we need to be aware of the righteous and good people, no matter what religious background that one comes from, to be aware that there's a cosmic evil that is determined to try to get rid of humanity, especially good people that love the Creator and God. So I think that in addition to these UFOs being shot down, I think that we also need to be aware of that there are right now food processing plants around the world that are being firebombed or magically burning down for no reason. So I think that there is some type of force that is attempting to depopulate humanity, my personal opinion. So I think that right now with this, it's alleged right now that with the chemical fallout in Ohio, there may be a serious devastation happening within the United States within maybe a month or two from this particular conversation here, if not longer lasting effects with the this vinyl chloride being not only going to the Mississippi River, but into the atmosphere as well. So I think that all this taking place, the phenomena of these UFOs is one thing. And also, too, you have to keep in mind that it's rumored that Wernher von Braun, one of the individuals a part of the Hitler regime during World War II in the Nazi Party, he also has alleged to make a statement that the final PSYOP would be an alien invasion upon the government, upon the world. So then most people, I don't care what background you come from, if you're on a computer or on the internet, most people jokingly or not jokingly heard of different so-called secret societies that talk about uh, the one world government and things of that nature. And it appears that even if it wasn't going to be, that the idea of corralling people under to that one banner of thought. So to answer your question, to go back, definitely there's something going on within our atmosphere and skies with regards to these UFOs, unidentified flying objects falling down or being shot down. And also, we have to be mindful that we're not the only one in the in the universe. We may think that humans are the cream of all cream, but there are also other intelligence that exists as well. In my personal opinion. Also, where you all are in over on the continent, Zimbabwe, several years ago, there were several school children that had witnessed, along with their teachers in Zimbabwe, that witnessed the craft coming down and short beings coming down to communicate with them. That's over in Zimbabwe several years ago. These children at that time, you may or may not be familiar with that. I forgot the name of the school. It was out in the bush somewhere.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. So we're not new to these phenomenons. They've been happening for years and years, but we happen to be in a time period that, my personal opinion, that there is more to. There's something where our attention is on these so-called alien objects coming into our atmosphere, that something more horrendous may be behind it to keep us from not looking to what really, like a magic trick. Don't look at this hand while this other hand is doing something.
Yeah, facts, man. So like this year, and I want to get to some astrology because I know you real good with astrology and things like that. But I know this year, like I've noticed at the beginning of the year, it's like an influx or like it's a lot of artificial intelligence apps coming out. It seems like just at one time, it's like a real big push of like artificial intelligence. What do you think? Because some people think artificial intelligence is like a bad thing or it could harm us in the future, or they're scared of it. And there's other people who embrace it. Like, how do you think is the best way to approach artificial intelligence?
That's a good question. We've been programmed for the last 20, 30 years that AI is going to be like the Terminator. It's going to be like other sci-fi movies to get us kind of prepped in that mentality. Right now, it's a tool that could be used for, it's like anything. It's like your smartphone. You could use that to call a friend or a loved one and say, I really miss you. I didn't want anything. I just wanted to say hi to you. Or you can use that same tool to say, F you, get on my nerves. I'm going to see you when I see you. So these are tools that you know what I mean? So they're tools that you could use, like a hammer. So I bring in something more modern. Your hammer is a tool that used to drive a nail into a wall, or you could use the hammer to do damage. So these are tools that be used. But I think with artificial intelligence, that we have to be mindful that the way that our current society with humans doing certain things, there's going to be a big replacement. So I don't know if we're going to talk about universal income and things of that nature, but I know that us as true living beings, desiring to live righteously, to love and be kind to one another, have to be aware to maintain our culture, the culture of the arts, the music, and humanities. Because if we become cold like an AI, then we could definitely see a tremendous depopulation or a die-off of humans as a result of these metallic, fast-thinking, computation, computing, sentient type. I won't say sentient, but I could be borderline of sentient, because you talk about Ray Kurzweil, talk about the singularity, where the computation and the thought form of our AI coming to the level of not surpassing the average human, so to speak. So we are, like the Chinese say, living in interesting times, and that's almost like a curse and a blessing. So what we're going to encounter.
Yeah. Wow. So like going to it, the astrology side of things, like, because I know you do astrology and things like that, and I know some people think astrology is spooky. Can you explain like exactly what astrology is?
Oh yeah, it's really ology means study, and astrology means the stars, the astral realm, the starry canopy. So for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, learned men and women have been documenting when planets make a particular angle, what they call aspects to one another, that there's a particular phenomenon that's witnessed on Earth. So these aspects like geometry of certain angles, like a 0 degree is called a conjunction. That means something side to side with one another. Then you have a
Mhm.
60-degree angle. That aspect means that when these particular energy forces are uh, making a relationship to one another, 60 degrees means there's an opportunity. So it's 360 degrees in a circle. You cut it in half. It's called 180. That's called an opposition. So an opposition means that, like for instance, this example here, you got a wheel. It's divided into 12 slices, and the determination of how the house structure is put in place is based upon the equinoxes. So equal means equal side, and also the solstice would be the uptime. So when the spring equinox comes, that's the beginning, the demarcation for that year of the beginning of the first house taking place. So as a result of that, so in a particular house in astrology, that's the environment. So the first house considered you, how you see the world and how the world sees you. The second house is considered your own personal finance, your philosophy, the way your value system, morality. The third house is simply about your siblings, your neighbors, etc. The fourth house will be your home. So just taking that quadrant. So if there's a planetary body in that particular house, that's where in a particular event for you personally or a nation would take place. So the zodiac signs themselves, like you have starting the season out with Aries, then you go from Taurus to Gemini to Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, etc. So the planets, think of planets like people. So the sun that we see in the sky is symbolic of the masculine energy. So being like the father, the leader, the king. So and then the moon is considered to be a feminine energy. So that energy represents the mother, the older mother, the nurturer. So these planetary bodies, Mercury would be considered like a cousin or a fast moving communicator. So each planet is symbolic of a particular individual. For instance, like Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn would be considered the law giver, the one that meets out the law, so to speak, like the sheriff or the police officer or the CEO. So that's his particular nature of the planet. So when it's in a particular zodiac sign, the zodiac sign means the personality of an individual. So, for instance, for this example, if an individual had the moon, say in Virgo, so to speak, so then Virgos, their keyword is I analyze. Sort of the sign of the moon. So the moon would be like a motherly figure or a grandmother or an older woman. So this is the analyzation that an older woman would provide to give off. So one thing that we have to keep in mind when it comes to astrology or reading the signs is a saying, an old axiom: as above, so below, within, without, as below, as above. So this relationship is what they call entanglement. So distance has no bearing on this because it's called quantum entanglement. Quantums are really, really small, and the communication is not determined based upon if there's a wire being there's a, I guess, like a plasmic, if you had to make a mental image, this communication tangle, the same particles can talk to one another over vast distances, irrespective of time. So that's something to keep in mind. So when people say, well, the planetary or the cosmos is not in the same position as it was thousands or 10,000 years ago, that what partly is true, because when the Earth spins, it's on a spiral wobble. But what happens is when I start out the conversation, every spring equinox is the beginning of that particular new house structure for that particular year. And since it's been documented over thousands and thousands of years, when these two planets, like for instance, for this example here, when the sun and moon are 180 degrees, which is half of 360, a circle, there's an opposition. So when the sun and moon, so the sun would be the father, the moon would be the mother, and the person that came forth or was birthed through the womb of the mother, and first inhalation of spirit, that's the stamping. of the cosmic forces of into that particular spiritual DNA. So now you have your cosmic map relayed out. For this demonstration here, if the sun and moon are opposing one another, that's called an opposition. And when the sun and moon oppose one another, that means that that child was born on a full moon. So anytime anything opposes you, that means that if you're smart, conscious, or you're aware of what's happening, you might not like the opposition or argument that's coming towards you. But normally the person that's opposing you is presenting you something with that you need to grow and develop on. But because depending on how it's being delivered to you at that moment, you might not be able to hear it because this person getting on your nerves, they make you feel a type of way or whatever. But if you are honest with yourself and not at that moment, you can take back what that person said to you and say, okay, like you always leave the something trivial. You always leave the toothpaste cap off the toothpaste. You know, that really irks me. And I've been telling you that for I don't know how long, but you still do it. But when that moon and sun during certain times of the month, when that happens, it'll raise up more. Like, I'm tired of these. You always doing this. But at the moment, you can't hear it because you feel someone is coming at you, which they are. But if you really want to grow and elevate, then that gives you an opportunity to say, okay, I have this issue. I need to change this particular behavior. So when it comes to astrology, it's the providing you with an opportunity to like you forecast the weather. It's going to rain today, going to snow here, depending on what region of the world that you're in. People can relate to that better because you can see tangible thing, rain coming down, or it's going to be dry or hot or wind. But when the planetary aspects of body happen, when they make a relationship to one another, they provide you with an emotional forecast. And depending on what house you want to be in will determine where you're going to receive that particular experience.
Nice. Man, that was that was a lot of jewels right there, family.
This is heavy.
This is so heavy. A lot of jewels right there. So, go ahead.
So I just
you can on there because I want to ask my question.
Oh, okay. Well, my question is kind of.
Oh yeah. No, I'm gonna say, Michelle, can you hold your question real quick?
Ahead.
Yeah, don't forget it. Like, so when you see when I look into someone's chart and see an opposition to one another, for instance, let's see here. A good example would be Virgo and Pisces, for instance, like the sun and moon, they're opposing one another. So Virgos, this is the moon in Virgo. So that's like a mother figure, or even if it's your spouse or loved one, that particular could be a man or a woman. That particular energy is opposing. Virgo is going to be hyper analytical at that time. So Pisces energy is about the entertainer. It's two fish. One go upstream, one go downstream. The one to go upstream is to the arts, to love and poetry and dance and all that kind of stuff. But when it's going downstream, it might have a needle in his arm, might do a line, got to get high.
Oh no.
Yeah, because the energy of a Pisces is about what? Escaping. Pisces energy wants to do what? It needs to control its environment. All signs want to control a degree, but Pisces, because of the evolution of going through all the 12 signs, they want to basically, if you're not in a particular mind state, they want to check out, if not physically check out, at least emotionally or spiritually check out of this particular situation that they're in. So for them, that's why they can draw in dreams. They may have, they definitely want to have spiritual phenomena, and they're not going to share it with the individual. They feel that's going to come at them or tease them or say that they're the devil or whatever. But nevertheless, they still have these particular phenomena. So that's why they want to escape. So for those higher conscious beings, my point being, so when I see that in the chart, then you know that if the Virgo and Pisces are going to cross or bump heads with one another, both have to be in a relationship to realize that I'm not trying to hurt you or harm you. That's the person that they really are in a true relationship, that they really care about one another. So, and then that takes the maturity comes in, because this gives you an opportunity to grow and develop. We only grow and develop through pressure, through it gives us an opportunity to see that, all right, this is my chance to evolve, to go from one level to the next level. But some people who do not take the pressure properly will end up being in the bar, end up talking to themselves, end up checking out of society because they have not provided themselves with the proper emotional fortitude to use the challenges put before them to overcome them and to rise and shine to the occasion. I apologize for being long-winded on that, but
no, you're good. You're good. Loving it.
Good.
This is interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Now you had a question for me, and I cut you off, and I apologize for that.
Yeah, I want to stay on track with what we're doing here because it's kind of like off, but not really. It's like we're seeing them spend a lot of money in this space program. How's this connected? Do you think there's really life, definitely in on other, beings and whatnot, other planets?
I have never seen one myself personally. At least I don't think I have. But I'm definitely sure that we're not the only sentient life form in the world. And I'm pretty sure that we may. It's kind of like us. We talking to like animals or plants. We don't always go in the jungle. I mean, but you are in a region where it may be a little different. But many of us don't talk to other species. And I'm pretty sure that the people that do know, they are aware that we're not the only ones in this universe. I think we would be really naive to think that out of all this vast galaxies and galaxies, we're the only ones that exist. And as far as the space program, even Trump, he made the let me be more clear. They say number 45. When he was in office, he made the space program once again. But I'm pretty sure that there were other space programs before the real technical, the big announcement that they have another military branch of the U.S. government.
So going back to astrology, like now in this time, like this year, is there anything that we need to know or be aware of that's happening like in the stars or astrologically, like speaking?
I definitely would say this, and it's not a point to be scary, but just to be mindful. We're only halfway through the Uranus-Taurus cycle. Uranus deals with sudden and unexpected. That wasn't no sign or anything. I asked my ear actually was itching. So Uranus deals with sudden and unexpected situations, but right now it won't be sudden and unexpected because we're talking about the situation. And Taurus deals with agriculture, money, and finance and personal value systems. And it normally is a 7 to 8 year cycle. And for other astrologers that are aware of this, we're repeating early World War II, the rise of Hitler, the same configuration as repeated. We're in that cycle now. So when before Kristallnacht in Germany, before Hitler and the Nazi regime started to round up people within the German community, but prior to the Holocaust, we're in those particular stages. So my point being right now, what we're witnessing, Uranus also deals with the digital world. You mentioned about AI, and it deals with the internet. And we're dealing with right now, we're in the realm of cryptocurrency and Bitcoins and other type of digital monies and monitoring system. So now we're dealing with Uranus deals with electronics, it deals with digital products, and we're dealing with Taurus. So digital products and the sign of Taurus dealing with money. So now that's why we're seeing the whole cryptocurrency, digital, what's it going to be, the blockchain, etc. So what to be mindful of, you're going to be mindful of a sudden and unexpected relationship when it comes to agriculture, because Taurus deals with agriculture. So you can take into consideration that there's a deliberate destruction of agriculture and farmland, be it rumored GMOs to be harmful to individuals, but now you know that there's going to be a destruction of food, edibles for people to eat and to consume, to live off of. The counter to that, because there's an opposition or conflict being in that particular area. So be mindful for individuals, in my opinion, to begin like Liberty Gardens, what you have community members that you relate, you trust, and things of that nature to begin. What are you doing? Are you harvesting seeds? Are you? I know certain places are allegedly becoming illegal to have harvest seeds and things of that nature for a certain quantity on having gardens. But if we are aware that we have another 3.5 year change to go with regards to the food supply being disrupted. So having that knowledge, then you have to begin to prepare for that. So if you know a famine is coming, then what do you do to live within that type of realm? It's not the part to be scary or anything, but it's a part to be aware of, to make proper planning, to be able to make the shift, because we're all going to be affected by it. So it's like being on a ship, and if you have your life preserver on, you're going to feel the wave And so if you're on even if a large, say if a large animal, you're on the shoreline or you're at the pool, would be a better example. And a large individual, anybody jumps in the pool, the closer you are to the shoreline or to the pool line, the more that will determine how wet you're going to get. So knowing in this particular demonstration, there's going to be a disruption, and disruption being Uranus being the disruptor, and Taurus being the agriculture. So if you know there's going to be a disruption in agriculture and food supply, then what does it tell you? A thinking person or a critical thinker would say that we need to prepare for if there's going to be a cosmic famine or a deliberate causing. So we know that this particular aspect already does that, but now we're going to accelerate that. Being a person that's not caring about humanity, what is the opposite? How do we prepare for that? What is our food supply? Even being mindful of our water. So in certain communities, they got air to water machines, other ways of getting water. So what do you do? How do you prepare for that? How do you secure your water? Then if your water is poisoned, how do you filtrate that? So those things you need to be aware of, and how once again, it's not for everybody. Everyone's not going to do that. But for the thinking individual, for the community leaders, they definitely need to be aware. You have your family as a father, a leader or uncle or a grandfather that's responsible, or even a mother that's responsible for their family and the people around them. One person has to be awake while everybody's asleep, and they also have to be prepared for the changing tides that we're witnessing. So that goes back to the UFO situation. Obviously, there's something major going on outside of the UFO that keeping our attention on those, because something like that is really major. If there's an alleged alien or rumored alien invasion, no one is going to be thinking about agriculture and food at that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It seemed like did I put y'all to sleep? Because it seemed like
No.
Okay.
No. Just gather some information. And by the way, just a quick second, we put his website in the chat. I just put that in the chat, Shemayahbey.com. Definitely check that out. Plethora of information there. His books are there as well. You want to go ahead and cop those. A wealth of information is on that website. Very nice website, by the way, brother. And also want to take a few minutes to shout out your beautiful, lovely wife, Miss Vonda Bay.
Yeah.
So your partner
in
yes. Shout out to Miss Vonda Bay. That's right.
No, I appreciate that. I'll share that. I'll extend that salutation to her. But just for a repeat, this is we're in 2023. This interview is going on. So we got to 2026 when Uranus goes into Taurus. So we also witnessed the structure of society changing with Uranus and Taurus. For example, up until 2023, we're going to be dealing with this agriculture. We're dealing with morality issues. In the States, they have from what it's appearing to be when it comes to the trans community and other government, I say propaganda machines and things of that nature, pushing behind that to change the structure of even thinking about things from non-binary to cis, etc. Taking the whole mindset of this is my own personal opinion, no one else's, is that when we start accepting the I'll put it this way, 2023, that's where we're in Uranus and Taurus. So in 2026, we're going to be dealing with Uranus and Gemini. So right now, we just went through the whole jab situation, and we're still going through that, and with respiratory issues. For those that are aware, so now I'm gonna take my time. We're talking about agriculture, right? And that's with Taurus. So, and we're talking about changes in agriculture being Uranus. And so we're going to be in 2026, we're going to be dealing with Uranus going to Gemini. Gemini is an air sign, a communicator, and it also rules the lungs. So there's going to be sudden and unexpected changes when it comes to the respiratory system. So knowing that going in, so for those that are forethinkers or people that can see ahead of time, so this will be the time to be knowledgeable of what is necessary to heal one's lungs going forward. And this is this goes back to the example now where we're at now with the release of the back to Palestine, Ohio, and how will that affect the environment with the release of this carcinogen in the air? Will it affect the lungs now, or will it have a lasting effect? going forward. So knowing that now one has, okay, this is the gameplay, this is what's being played out. You got to have a counter to that if we not only want to survive, but we want to thrive within the society.
Wow.
Man. So that's interesting. You were saying like astrologically certain signs deal with certain like parts of the body.
Correct.
You just because you said Gemini deals with the lungs.
Yeah, because it's an air sign.
Yeah, can you break down like a little bit more, like what deals with the head or the
sign?
That's Aries. Aries deals with the head. Aries deals with the head. Taurus deals with the throat. Gemini with the lung speaking. Leo deal with your heart and your spinal column and your back.
Wow.
You got Virgo deals with your. We got Cancer. I skipped over Cancer. Sorry about that. This was your stomach area. Virgo, Leo deals once again with your heart. Then Virgo deals with your intestines area. So you got to be mindful of those. Then we got Scorpio that deals with your sexual organs. You have Sagittarius, the centaur, half man, half beast, deals with your hip area, your hips. Capricorn deals with your bones. Aquarius deals with your shins and your calf area. And Pisces deals with the two fish deal with your feet. So depending on where particularly where you're born, so that's called medical astrology. I'm not a medical astrology. I have a base knowledge in it, but I'm not a medical astrologer. So depending on your birth chart or where you are at a particular time, there's a situation what they call as what's mentioned earlier, as above, so below. So as above would be transit to transit. That means how you were on a bus, you see another car go by, you feel that energy, that emotion. So when depending on the angle they're making to one another, is going to determine what they call aspects. How is something considered to be, they call malefic. People consider malefic to be bad or evil, or benefic, meaning good. But those particular, they might be lower vocabulary words, but just to get an idea. So when anytime something that makes you feel uncomfortable or irritable, then you automatically associate that with being bad. And sometimes we need to maybe elevate our consciousness and think that when a 90-degree angle is considered to be that geometric angle, considered to be the hardest aspect that we'll have as humans in this lifetime. So that means when you're having arguments and things is really going bad. So when you're that 90-degree angle is putting pressure upon you, what does pressure do? Supposed to bring out the greatness in you. But a lot of times you're either going to crumble under the pressure or you're going to rise to the occasion. So like Richard White used to teach me, when you have a person has a 90-degree angle or hard aspect in their chart, means that it's like stair steps. You take it one step at a time. And sometimes you may be in situations, you may be at a job, you might be in a relationship, some type of social aspect where the creator, because he's speaking to you in this one form of many forms to speak to you, to say that you've met a 90-degree angle in your life, and this individual is not the best person for you. And you know that the person is, and now things are very difficult. So it's like you going up a mountain with 250 pounds of weights on your back. This is an opportunity for you to take that weight jacket off, to release that weight and go forward. Now you may be in a situation where the pressure is on you, but you're not in a situation where you have the ability or even necessary for you to leave that situation. So when you come into that means that this particular pressure means the best has to come out of you. So you take it one step at a time. You can't jump. So a trine, they call also known the delta. The trine is 120 degrees. That particular energy to one another, it means it's a gift. It's fortune that comes to you. But a lot of times people, number one, most people don't even know what's going on. But for those that are aware, that when you get a 120 degrees, depending on the day, the season of the year, it's a blessing coming to you. It's like a scratch-off ticket or a lottery ticket. But a lot of people that are not knowledgeable of it, they don't even cash it in. And then when the expiration date, when the expiration date comes in, then they miss out on their blessing. So they might have to wait for another cycle. And who knows how long that would be. So for those that are knowledgeable of this particular science, then they can use it to their advantage. For those who could care less, then they just live their life as they live it. But for those that are into bettering themselves, progressing society, they're very much aware, more learned, and more knowledgeable in this particular area, even than I am. So, I defer to their particular knowledge as well. So if you know ahead of time that wherever you are in society, that there's an accident on the road and you happen to look at your phone and says that don't go this particular route because there is an accident, take a different tour. Having that foreknowledge could help you out a lot. There's a lot of things that we go through in life we don't have to go through. We shouldn't go through. But a lot of times we're ignoring that inherent divine feminine, divine masculine in us, and we just go towards it when we have an opportunity to deviate. But if not, so how life is, depending on what direction we go, that we choose to go in, then we encounter and experience whatever's put before us. But we do have an opportunity to make some adjustments that's what they call ruling your stars. For the most part, most people go through life as robots. They go from birth to death, not knowing anything that's going on. But those that are aware become more critical thinkers and be able to process on how they should function and move. So now you have an advantage. If you know that you're going to have an argument with your boss or a coworker or someone at the bus station or at the subway, things are more heated. You have an opportunity to get subtle within your spirit when people come after you, especially if you know that it might be a violent, like say like a Mars, Pluto aspect, war energy coming at one another. You could really go there with an individual, or you could take the another approach to it by being more calmer, responding in a different way, or not responding at all. So now you have the opportunity, advantage to control your environment instead of just reacting to the environment.
So we have some questions here. If you have any questions, also you can also hit the link and we can put you on the StreamYard so you can ask your questions live with us, family. We have a question from Key Billy, I believe that the name is. I hope I said that right. And they ask, how about singularity?
Well, singularity is what the artificial intelligence world meeting up and not surpassing humanity. So that's where the singularity would come in. I'm just I'm paraphrasing Ray Kurzweil, one of the individuals that work with artificial intelligence, looking forward to the aspect where the AI, so to speak, surpasses, if not takes over. So now we start getting into the whole transhumanism situation and cyborg personality.
And that's a whole nother thing. Like during these times, because are we in the season of Pisces, or are we in a different season now?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. When Richard Whiten, the one that taught me how to do astrology, basically, if you can imagine, for your audience to have no clue what I'm talking about, but so they could be on the same page. If you imagine a pizza slice, where the slices are, where you cut the slices to where the lines are when you slice. So you know what I'm talking about. First, we have a pizza.
Yeah.
And you have slices in each line of the slice.
Okay.
Y'all follow me?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
cut it up.
Yeah.
Cut it up.
Yeah, cut it up. So where it's cut up, right? So where it's cut up, those are called cusp, CUSP. So that means that it cuts a line between one house and another. Depending on who you speak to, some people say that we're in the age of Aquarius. Aquarius being the humanity dealing with electronics, space, UFOs, and things of that nature. And then some people believe we're still in the on the cusp, on that line slice in Pisces. And Pisces, I believe that's what dogma and religion, to keep everyone bound together in a particular ideology. So if we're not in the age of Aquarius, then we're in the age of a Pisces approaching Aquarius, right on that line, that slice line between one. So the effects, because you're like neighbors, if you have a neighbor and there's a fence between you two, obviously you're going to be able to communicate with one another, even though you're on your side of the house or fence and they're on that side. So those energies begin to meet and to bleed, or making a relay race from one baton to the next, being energy and information being communicated.
Nice.
I have a question. How important is it to know your chart, is in reference to astrology, to know your chart so that you can be, I guess, in reference to you being a balanced and, like a happy or functioning human being? I know there are some people that look at it as, oh, what is that? People who are highly religious, if you will, they might feel offended by the science, but how important is it, in your opinion, to know your chart so that you can actually function and become successful and be more aware of things in your world?
So let's do this. How important is it to breathe?
Woo!
Mm.
I feel you.
It's real important.
Yes.
All right. How important is it for you to eat? Well, drinking
Mm.
first, drinking
It's essential.
taking fluid, right? These are essential.
Essential. It's
So
essential.
how important would it be to know thyself?
That's a must.
All right.
That's a
So
must.
so there are particular sciences that help you know yourself. We're delving into a realm that becomes competition for priest, imam, for preachers, pastors, etc. Because now you start cutting into the money, you start cutting into the tithe. So as a
Okay.
result, you got to keep in mind that God comes first, whatever you call God. So now when you have individuals knowing how to navigate in society, what did you even come back to earth for? What did you incarnate for? Is it your first time being here? And if it's not, what was your mission? And the only way you're going to know that is by knowing thyself. And what take you from the Christian or the Torah perspective and other religious society and books, providing that the heavenly bodies provide you with an opportunity to know that when you incarnated or you came out of your mother's womb, what was the relationship with the planetary bodies and the zodiac with their different definitions, how it relates to you at this time. So once again, the old adage, as above, so below. So once you know your particular personal roadmap, then you'll have a better going in life on, I do better in this area. I might be a better baker or cooker or like in the sixth house, do a work and service to others. So if you have a lot of planets in that particular area, so your life, knowingly or unknowingly, it's the devil or not the devil, it's evil or not. If you are born with that particular configuration, you're going to have those encounters. So it'll be wise to know who you are, because then you know how you could save yourself a lot of time and trouble, or a lot of going around in circles, not knowing what is my purpose, what am I doing here? This don't make no sense.
Nice.
All right,
Thank you.
Ayla has a question.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. So how do you think, what is the best way to go about learning thyself? Like what would be the best, the first step really?
Right now, with you could do it several different ways. You can consult with an astrologer and they could run your chart, or you can just go to the internet and type in free astrology chart and put in your birth time, your birthplace. It's like if you know your time, that would really help out. But if you didn't know that, that means that the houses are going to be different. So right now, I'm learning called Western astrology. So there's other type of different astrologies, like you have the Jyotish, that's the Vedic, or the East Indian way of doing things. But I use they call it tropical or Western astrology. So to answer your question, the easiest thing to do is just go into one of your search engines, type in free astrology chart, and then go ahead and put your birth information and the city and state or country that you were born in, and it'll provide you with a chart and some basic understandings of that. But if you want to go further into it, then you would consult an individual or him or her to help you read it, explore it more. But it's a fascinating science. But I do say science because the relationship has been, once again, documented for quite some time. Believe it or not, there's a book called that deals with banking and astrology, and they use that knowing when the cycles of finances will go up and down and what industries that people invest in or pull out of. It's called financial astrology.
Financial astrology, man.
Interesting.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, they also have the dealing with quartile. Not going to say quartile is not the word I'm looking for. The word escapes me at the moment, where it might be a particular region in the world that you do better in based on your astrological mapping. Also I do charts. So if working through Aaron and Michelle and y'all, if you want, we could talk differently if you want to put a post on your site.
Yeah,
or whatever.
give us your email so we can put it in the chat now, because I know you do real good charts.
The best way to contact you for that.
Yeah, you can do that. Then contact 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 at Shemayahbey.com. That's SHEMAYAH Bay. B as in bank, E as in echo, Y as in Yankee.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's up, Tracy Delgado? Peace to the family out here. BB Rodriguez has a question.
Sure.
Sir, I have questions. All right. Yes, sir. I have questions about the repair of the descendants of transatlantic slave trade and our global demands for repair.
Okay, can you repeat it one more time?
Sir, I have questions about the repair. I'm thinking BB's trying to ask I guess what's the best way that the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade can repair, I guess, their situation.
Okay.
Or our situation, yeah.
So I thank you for that question. There, in addition to the transatlantic slave trade, have to keep in mind that a lot of melanated people were in the Americas, North America, Central America, and South America prior to the so-called transatlantic slave trade. So just be mindful of that. So also you got to keep in mind, this is what I call the third rail, so to speak. We've been a particular education and dogma. Our so-called enemies have programmed us to think and to behave in a particular manner. My personal opinion, in order for us to make a shift from the way that we're currently going, the trajectory that we're on, we're going to have to return to the knowledge and science of our foreparents, our ancient parents, those particular sciences. So I'm not telling you to leave your church and your masjid or your temple, but what I'm saying is that you, the individual, and maybe not necessarily as a group, need to begin changing and reestablishing a link between you and the sciences of our foreparents. That would be my personal opinion, to make some changes and deviation. For the most part, the really good, loving people in the world are not in a position to fight a hand-to-hand combat war, but they are in a position to change things by their consciousness and by involving their ancestral relatives and spirits and moving forward and changing things for the better. Because right now, there's, like I said earlier, there's a great cosmic evil in the world, and good people, there's a saying that says, when good people do nothing, the world gets taken over. Once again, I'm not saying that everyone needs to tool up and rifle up. There are certain aspects for martial combat, but for the most part, people are not in a position, especially people in the transatlantic slave trade, even being colonized on the continent, aren't in a position. The disadvantage is really beginning here and processing the way that we've been going and the way that we are currently going. It's destruction. Even Public Enemy talked about that. We're headed for self-destruction. So in order for us to make a shift or a pivot, we're going to need to begin going back to the relationship. So if you had a loved one that loved you, that was alive, why would the love dissipate if they crossed over? So therefore, my personal opinion is to reestablish the link between you and your foreparents and your relatives. That's the beginning change. And then the communication is not like them like Aaron, Michelle, Ayla. It's going to be, the communication is going to come through either your dreams. You may be watching something on TV or the internet, and something sparks in you. But to answer the brothers or whoever the individual's question was, it will begin to reestablish the link between you and your ancestors. That's my own personal opinion.
So how does one go about starting to create that link with their ancestors? What's the best way to do that?
My personal opinion would be to have an altar. And depending on where you are in the world, your household may not afford to allow you to do that. So, and then what I mean by that, you might be living with individuals that would either put you out the house or disown you. You know what I mean? Keep it 100. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
So everything is not for everybody, but at the very least, to have a space where you can commune with the Creator and have the Creator provide a link or set up like we're talking on these devices. You know what I mean? These devices where you're communicating with one another. So that would be the beginning habit. So that if you have a loved one, a spirit, you can put a picture up there. You're not worshiping them. You only worship the Creator. Whatever name you've been developed and taught about, then that's who you approach first. But for instance, like for real, like to keep it just to be keep it 100 with you and your audience. So to keep it I mean, my train of thought is being deviated at the moment. My point being is that whatever made the ants, the atoms, that made the quarks, made oak trees, what made people, made animals, minerals, chemicals. Like if you're really being honest with it, Do you really think it cares? This particular energy, this divine feminine masculine really cares if you have a cold or you stubbed your toe? But you do have other individuals that's in your lineage that you came from that really do care about you. So my point being in this particular demonstration here would be to recognize the fact that you always go to the creator, whatever you've been trained, you develop, go to first. And then also then you approach your spiritual family to help really open up the way for you. And when I mentioned about the altar, ALTAR, alter, right? But what does an altar do? It alters the situation, ALTER. So you're in a particular course. So therefore, if you know you have a loved one who, when they were alive, they like coffee or they like cake or little candies. And once again, you're not worshiping. You ain't worshiping when they was alive, so you're not gonna worship them when they did. What you're doing, you're acknowledging them. So it says honor their, father and mother upon the earth. You know what I mean? Just going to the Christian tradition. So your days will be long upon the earth. But in order for you to take that tradition, so now they're in the spirit world, that means that your grandmother gonna do less for you. Now, the separation comes in is because it would probably be a good thing that many of, like Aaron mentioned earlier about the sixth sense, that everybody's seeing ghosts walking around. Now I know Ayla had that experience in the house with the ghosts, hearing the ghosts in the background, but most people don't want it, not built for that. You know what I mean? So as a result, there's a good thing that there's a separation between the seen and unseen world. That way, so we can kind of live within this particular realm. Before, when you talk about when the individual asked about how do you make a change, it's going to have to come spiritually. You're not going to be able to do it physically. It's my own personal opinion, because we're dealing with forces that been here for. We're dealing with one particular group of individual or energy that's determined to get rid of humanity. Don't matter if you Laotian, Russian, Nigerian, from Barbados, etc. There's a particular force in the universe that's determined to get rid of humanity. And then there's another force that's determined to make sure that the balance of humanity is not destroyed. But so that's what he called the macrocosm. That means the universe of stars, things that we can't even imagine. And the microcosm is the tiny of the tiny. But we're called the mesocosm. So we're in the middle. We're the antenna between, we're the bridge, we're the medium between the seen and unseen realm. And as a result of being the medium, we have a responsibility of communicating not only spiritual knowledge, but uplifting knowledge as well. But for the most part, we're easily swayed to doing demonic things opposed to doing loving and godlike things. But those in your audience and yourself, we have a responsibility to make sure that we not only survive, but we thrive. In order for us to do that, we're going to have to return back to the science of our foreparents to not only be successful, and also to get out of a particular mindset that we've been shifted and corralled into.
Facts, man. Facts. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you for the Cashapp. Do you have a Cashapp,
yes,
Brother Shemayah?
Our brother's dropping a lot of gems
we want to put your Cashapp in here.
Put your Cashapp in here.
Maybe if somebody wants a quick little quick little reading of their birth chart, you mind doing that?
Can you give us your
I
Cashapp?
would be if I had my I don't have my information in front of me. I apologize. Next time, if I come back, do you mind if we do it again?
No, we got definitely.
Come on, brother. We have to have you back.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yes. But give us your Cashapp so we can drop it in the chat right now.
Yeah, it's $, Shemayah Bey.
All right, same, everything's the same. All right.
Yeah, just $.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Just dropped his Cashapp in. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, you dropping a lot of gems. And
I'm going to share this one thing here, and I don't want to just be locked into the realm of scripture or Bible, but just for knowing the audience. In the book of Revelation, is talk about there's an altar of incense, and the angels stand by the altar where the prayers of the righteous or the saints go up to the Creator. So therefore, it's telling you that this altar is what? A communication device. And in order for like our words that we're communicating with one another, you can't see them, but the vibration goes through. So then obviously when we speak, there are other forces out there that exist. Even and I'm just staying in this particular realm here in the book of Ephesians, Ephesians chapter 6, they talk about we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against forces, cosmic creators over particular areas. So we have demonic forces that sit upon us. So really, really good, righteous people, when we're seeking to do the right thing, people say, well, why do things always seem to happen to good people? The good people die young and go young. The reason being is because our particular programming has been set in a particular manner that we have ignored a particular pathway. So when it comes to using your altar to alter a particular situation, will be incumbent upon us to use a particular incense or incense because they begin to be the how we say the wave, the Wi-Fi to transmit our vibration with a little bit degree of protection around it to get to where it needs to be. So we can look at it that way.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you, even if you're staying with the Abrahamic religions, that would be Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Even the patriarch of those particular religions dealt with the altar, where he met the deity. So once again, this is not Bible school. This is not Sunday school, because obviously, or you're doing Juma on Friday, because this goes outside of the parameters of that particular structure of religion. But for those individuals that so choose to reconnect, you have a right to do that. Also, it's your responsibility to reestablish the link for yourself and for your family. Keep in mind, this particular conversation is not meant to be shared with individuals that don't want to hear it. Otherwise, you're going to be ostracized, even to the point where people may try to harm you as a result of you going outside of the so-called structure of thought or behavior.
Yeah. So along with like your altar and things like that, now I'm aware that there's certain rituals that a lot of cultures have. Different cultures have like different rituals and different things that they do. Is that play a part too, or is that real? Like different rituals? Like when I say rituals, I mean like hanging up a mistletoe or like putting out chimes and things like that.
Yeah, it depends on what culture you come from. So your particular cultural background is going to have certain items or objects that are pertinent or important to your particular culture that you come from. So you mentioned about chimes. My instructor, Dr. Hazel, he taught us that chimes to do what? They're supposed to do that bell, that vibration or that octave that goes into the universe is to repel a particular negative or demonic force or energy. That's why bells are always rang. They used to be like in the movies, you would see they would ring the bell for the cows to come in or to clear out certain areas, like certain areas in Africa or the United States or whatever country you're in. They're called ghost towns. Ghost towns don't only mean that they're not, people don't live there anymore. It also means that it's quite possible that unseen negative forces have taken over that particular region or space or area. So, and bells are used to clear out that particular. So depending on culture, you all are at an advantage because you're on a continent. And then as you start to move, the people, the Sangomas and the other spiritual leaders that are in the bush or in a particular area to still maintain that knowledge. Once again, it's not for everybody. And as a result, you're going to encounter, for people that are vibrating on this particular level, then you're going to meet who you are. So if you're on the block, then, for those that may not know that terminology, you're going to meet up that particular energy. But as you elevate, you're going to start coming. The saying is that when a student is ready, the teacher will come. You know what I mean? So that's a part of our own evolution and consciousness. But when you talk about the mistletoe and the even like the Hollywood. So what is a Hollywood? It's supposed for magical things, like the whole Harry Potter things. So there are different aspects. You have prophets and prophetess. Then you got sorcerers and witches. So depending on, and then you have a middle ground, what they call the gray area, where they dip and dab to one another's side.
Nice, man. You know what, Shemayah, we got to have you back on because I know we're going all night at this rate. But,
we're in class tonight.
Yeah,
okay, I appreciate it.
Interesting. Yeah.
We see this amazing poster behind you, Shemayahbey.com. You have some amazing books on your website. Can you tell us about your newest publication here?
Yeah, I read a book series called The Ritual, and it's about a sister out of New Orleans called Paradise. Her name is Isabella Rosemary Montoyer. And this gave me an opportunity to write about her. She's out in New Orleans, and Many people may or may not be aware of the reputation they either with Vodun or Voodoo, but her particular family structure didn't come from using that particular science of interaction between the spirit realm. They used an ancient science that came that's in addition to thousands and thousands of years old. Her grandmother, the whole thing about the series with my character, she's stuck in the middle. Her grandmother is called Madame Montoyer. She's an avatar. Avatar means like a god on earth. And her grandmother taught her the sciences of our foreparents. When I mean sciences, I'm talking about real magic. And the advantage of writing fiction or what do you call fact-based fiction is that you have the freedom to write about things that if you said it was real, then people come at you and try to be really hating on you. But if you write it in the fictional, but if you write it in the fictional standpoint, you have a little bit more flexibility to really explore different ideas and aspects. So going with the story with Paradise, she's in the middle. What I mean by that, she knows that, like most of us do, just to be honest with ourselves, that there's more than this physical realm. But because our particular ideology, particular religions that we've been brought up into, particular moral and value codes, we don't step outside of that particular parameter and box. But Paradise was groomed, my character was groomed to be a leader of other spiritual melanated people from around the world to help balance out the power. Right now, the forces of darkness that are overrunning the earth, and the so-called the Brotherhood of Light or the Children of Light are supposed to come together and to help at least counterbalance that. And she's being groomed to be a leader. Her grandmother's teaching her the science, but she happens to be born in a family where her mother is really religious. You know, religion tells you, her particular religion tells you to stay away from that. That's the devil. You worship Satan. This is bad. You're going to hell. You're going to Gehenna. You're going to be burnt up forever. And her mother makes her make a promise that she would never use the science that her grandmother is teaching her to help her. And my character, Paradise, agreed to that. So what happens is now my character, Paradise, gets into trouble that physical things can't shift. She gets into relationships that are destructive to the point of taking her life or getting close to taking her life. And as a result of that, Paradise is forced, not voluntarily returning to reestablishing the link between her and her foreparents. But now her grandmother's in the world of spirit. Now she doesn't have the physical, she just can't bang it out physically. A gun can't solve this particular problem. So, and as a result of being that, she's forced to return to the science of her people. So that's what the whole book series is about, going the ups and downs of life. As long as we're on this earth plane, we're going to have uptime, you know, good times, bad times, so-called bad times. Uptime, it actually might be really bad. Uptime, good, bad, good, bad. That's the cycle of life that we're on. So now it depends on where we are in the cycle. Even if we're in the good times, we still got to be mindful of not being, I don't want to say being stoic, but being mindful, like, so we don't really get swayed. Like Libras are like that. Libras have to be, it's a scale. So a scale has to be balanced. And sometimes Libras could be like, I'm really in love. It's all about you, almost stalkerish. You know what I mean? Or they could be or they'll I don't want to be dealing with anybody and being really sheltered and things of that nature. So we're talking about the balance of energy and emotions and how they work. So going back to the story, the book, basically, essentially, it's about my character having to make her own decisions, even outside of other people being hurt or disturbed by the decision that she makes when it comes to reconnecting with her ancestors and using a particular science that's been with us for generations and generations to be better. Yeah. Oh yeah, that one thing is about her. I talk about amulets and things. One thing too, you all have an advantage being where you are for those that know how to do that, what they call talismans. She has a ring that a talisman or amulet, and essentially it means that this particular object has been infused to keep her safe and protected. Her grandmother always said to her, and this is something I learned from Dr. Hazel too, you're powerless. Well, he yells when he talks. I'm not going to do that for your audience. Without your tools, essentially means that like a police officer, how her grandmother explains to in the book, they have riot gear, they have a helmet, like a literal helmet. or they have a bulletproof vest on. So these are objects in the physical realm to keep them safe from harm that comes their way. For spiritual individuals, men and women, or and youth as well, is that you also need a particular object. Like for example, from the Dagra, Patrice Sommet, he talks about that from Water and Spirit in his book, and talks about they have talismans or medicine bag. For New Orleans, they had gree-grees. There are particular objects that have been infused. This is not even about a belief system, but they're called if you're just talking a rational mind, so-called rational mind, called sympathetic magic. So the energy that we possess, that divine feminine masculine in us, can be infused into a particular object on a particular day, depending on your zodiac sign, the vibration of your name. And there's certain individuals around the world that I'm talking about things that work, not that stuff you just that they call foolish things, but things that actually were objects that actually work, that are designed to help repel just something on a mundane level. I'll put it this way: like we have Wi-Fi with our computer, but then there has something called orgone generators. Most people that are really scholarly, they would never believe that, but these particular objects are created with certain elements to help dissipate the effects of the electromagnetic coming from a Wi-Fi or from a 5G or 6G, etc. Just on a level there. But talking about spiritually, there are certain spiritual men and women throughout the world that have the ability and knowledge. How I was trained and taught through Dr. Hazel. He taught my wife and myself and others that there are certain, how can I put it? I won't say ashrams, but certain temples, certain places around the world where these highly spiritual people, they have, I'm going to be mindful on that on this here. There are certain people in around that know how to infuse these objects for the betterment. I was going to go a different way with that, but my mind is saying don't do that.
It's cool.
This is heavy. I love it. Wow.
Man,
wow.
Make sure y'all get in touch with Brother Shemayah Bey. Support him on his Cashapp family.
Definitely.
And we're going to have you back.
Definitely.
I appreciate that.
Are you willing to come back, brother? We have to have you back.
Oh, most definitely. I look forward to it.
This is amazing. Cool. I think everybody's enjoying this. We're learning today.
I appreciate that. Yeah, peace to your audience as well.
Definitely. And check out his website, shemayahbey.com. We're going to put that in the chat once again. Also, hit him up on the Cash App. He dropped so many jewels here for us here this evening. I'm sure he's helped a lot of us out. There's a wealth of knowledge here that he shared with us.
Yeah.
And also his book series. We're going to get our copies. Yeah. Yes, that is so interesting. I'm English teacher, so I love a good book. Got to have that series in my life. And I hope all of you, those readers out there who are interested in this type of information, get your copies of his book series. And you can find that at shemayahbey.com as well. Yes.
God, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. I would like to share this. I have to set it up though, Aaron. So when we come back the next time for your audience, for individuals that may be dealing with, I'm not a medical doctor or things of that nature, so I'm not here to prevent, cure disease. That's my disclaimer. But I will say this, is that the way that the creator, whatever name you give to the creator, this what created everything, whatever you believe in, this divine principle, this divine masculine feminine principle, this divine.
Tell Vonda we said what's up.
So this particular divine providence, this all energy has the way our body's designed. Our voices have containing. Obviously, our brain is here. Information gets downloaded and processed through our brain, and then and our vocal cords. The actual chord escapes right now. I think it's the I'm not even gonna try to guess. I'm not guessing, but I can't remember the actual chord. But when we speak, the information of our body is contained in our voice. Once again we're dealing with Uranus, so we're in the age of computers, and with Taurus dealing with the throat and sound. Our voice contains the information in our body. So if your body is deficient in a particular mineral or vitamin, or your hormone is too high or too low, your voice contains that information, even in your emotional state of being. And as a result of that, if with the bioacoustic, bio means sound, bio means life and acoustic means sound. So life sound is in our voice. Everybody has a unique voice and sound. And so right now there are people that have created, have worked with computers. The my thought is being thrown. So basically, as a bioacoustic technician, they take the person's 30-second voice recording. It goes through the bioacoustic computer program, and a report comes back and says that on, say, L7 on their back is messing with their stomach or their intestines, depending the correlation. So it'll tell you what's going on that particular individual on emotional state, as well as obviously, you got physical situations, but it goes to helps you discover the root of a particular issue going on. I already did my disclaimer earlier when I mentioned about the bioacoustic, but essentially, if a person did a 30-second voice sample and submitted it, it gets ran through a process and a report comes, and I definitely could do the report for you for an individual to see what's going on with them. There's a fee with that, and when I come back to you all, have that particular together for individual. I haven't done it for quite some time on a large scale, but definitely have that available as well.
All right, cool.
Nice. That sounds great. Great. And you're getting a lot of positive feedback. Tranchi Garvin says, I really appreciate how he makes this information so easily accessible and comprehensible. Nice.
Thank the person. Thank you for that.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
All right, Brother Shemayah, we appreciate you, and we thank you for coming on the Unapologetic Nomad Show, and we will have you on. I'm going to be in touch with you, brother.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank y'all.
All the gems you dropped, this is fire. This has been fire.
I appreciate it. I look forward to it. We talk with dialogue after offline.
That's right. All right.
All right, brother. Right. Salute to you. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, family. That's Brother Shemayah.
Yes.
Of Philadelphia, family.
Yes.
Shout out to our family in Philly.
Yes.
I know y'all had your heads down because of the game yesterday, but just continue to look at this live or just play this over, and it'll boost up your morale and your spirit and everything like that, so you can stay in good spirits, family.
Yes.
Yeah. But so that was good. That was deep. I was learning a lot. How do you feel about that, Ayla?
I was learning a lot. I'm gonna dibble and dabble into that more because I was getting into a little bit back then, but I would like fall off. So I'm trying to I'm gonna dibble and dabble into like astrology again more. Because that you said it's important, and I do notice something because I am like we're spiritual people, so we do notice certain things. I do notice certain like some of the things you were saying. I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and he explains it very well, so I don't understand what he was saying.
Yeah,
I understood it. I was like, you're right.
I think that's what makes him real powerful. You get
you
says it in the way we really understand.
I like that, and as a teacher too, I appreciate that. He breaks the information down where everybody, even teenager and children can understand.
It's interesting. It's not more like it's actually interesting. I'm like,
because we've been on here like what, almost 2 hours.
It doesn't feel like it though.
It don't even feel like it.
It don't even feel like it. Yes.
Good
information.
But we love y'all, family. We thank y'all for tuning in to the Unapologetic Nomads. Please continue to follow us on Instagram, which is unapologetic_nomad. You can also continue to join the mailing list at unapologeticnomad.com. And and I'm on Instagram as KingNomad_44, where you can find me. I put a lot of art up there, and I'm gonna also do like different little recipes and things like that. Yeah.
All right. Yes. Don't forget to hit us up on Twitter at unapologetic NO3. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Miss Ayla.
Contact me if you would like art and whatnot, a logo design, shirt design, anything like that, at ALA_THE_arts.
All right, look out for the new newsletter, the 12th edition of the newsletter is coming out this week, so look out for that. Thank you for all those who have signed up. It is a free newsletter, and thank you for signing up and enjoying the read. It's a good read.
That's right, and we're gonna have Auntie Wendy on this week, so make sure y'all tune into that one, family. Up. That's right. And y'all know who it is. You know who the face is, family. It's the Unapologetic Nomads. And we unapologetic
nomadic.
All right, family. Peace.
Peace. Love.
Peace.